Peace to you, my dear one. It is no accident that you found this space today. You were guided here, not by force, not by fear, but by a deeper calling within you. The voice that says, "It's time." You have a new attitude, and it looks good on you. Yes, I see it in you. You're not the same person who once bent backward to be accepted. You're not the same soul who used to silence your truth to be loved. Today, you're standing taller, not arrogantly, but with divine alignment. You're realizing, my peace is too expensive to bargain with, and for that, I honor you. Let me ask you something. When did you first learn that you had to earn love? Maybe it was when you were a child and your tears were met with punishment instead of comfort. Maybe it was in relationships where you gave more than you had, believing that love was only real if it came with sacrifice. I've been there too. I wore the mask of the pleaser. I used to say yes, even when my spirit screamed no. Until one day I woke up and realized I was slowly abandoning myself in the name of kindness. But kindness that costs you your soul is not kindness. It is self-erasure. So today, I want to walk with you. Let's explore what it means to no longer betray ourselves for the comfort of others. Let's sit together, not to fix, but to feel. Take a deep breath with me. Inhale, exhale. Now, let me tell you a story. Segment 1. The River and the Mountain. There was once a young monk sent by his master to meditate by a river for 30 days. The master said, "Do not return until you understand stillness." The young monk sat, the river roared, the birds sang, the insects buzzed, and his thoughts screamed, "What if I'm not doing it right? What will the others think if I fail? Will my master be disappointed?" But as the days passed, the monk began to notice something. The river never asked permission to be loud, the mountain never apologized for being still, the sun never said, "I'm sorry for shining too bright today," and the trees didn't whisper among themselves about whether they were worthy of the space they occupied. Everything simply was, present, whole, at peace. On the 30th day, the monk returned and bowed. His master asked, "What did you learn?" He said, "I learned that stillness is not silence. Stillness is knowing who you are, even when the world is loud." Let's pause. Here. I want you to sit with that. How often have you tried to be what others needed instead of being who you are? You were not sent here to be a river one day and a mountain the next, just to appease someone else's expectations. You were sent here to be real. And being real will cost you something. It may cost you relationships that only loved the version of you that stayed quiet. It may cost you admiration from people who benefited from your smallness. But it will gift you something far more precious, your wholeness. Segment 2. The Illusion of Approval. You see, people-pleasing is a survival tactic. It's a beautiful strategy developed by a younger version of you to stay safe. Maybe you learned that love was conditional, that if you were too loud, too quiet, too emotional, too ambitious, you'd lose connection. So you learned to read rooms, like textbooks. You became a master of morphing. But eventually, even shapeshifters get tired. The question is not, how do I get people to like me? The question is, do I even like who I become when I try to please them? Let me tell you something sacred. When you stop pleasing, the first sound you'll hear is the loud silence of your own heartbeat. It might scare you at first, but sit with it long enough, and it becomes music. Reflective moment, place your hand on your heart. Right now. Yes, right now. Close your eyes if you're able, and repeat after me, silently or aloud. I no longer shrink myself to be digestible. I was not born to fit in the mold of someone else's comfort. I honor my boundaries. I protect my peace. I live in my truth. Now breathe. That's not just affirmation. That's reprogramming. We've only just begun, my friend. This is not just a video. It is a sacred space, a mirror, a meditation. You are not alone in this. And in the next part, we'll explore what it really means to reclaim your time and energy. To build an identity rooted not in performance, but in presence. So stay with me. Let's continue this journey together. Welcome back, dear one. If you're still here, it means your soul is thirsty for truth. Not the kind of truth that shouts from rooftops or seeks validation, but the kind that whispers quietly in the corners of your life, waiting to be remembered. You're not here by accident. You're being called back to yourself. Let's keep walking. Segment 3, Reclaiming Your Time, the Currency of Your Buy. Soul, you've probably heard this before. Time is money. But I want to offer you something deeper. Time is energy. Time is life. Time is sacred currency. Every time you say yes when your body says no, and every time you go to that dinner you dread, reply to that message out of guilt, or stay 5 more minutes with someone who drains you, you are writing spiritual checks that bounce. You are paying with your peace. One of the hardest truths I had to learn in my monkhood is that saying no is not rude, it's righteous. Because every no to the outside world is a yes to the inner one. You don't owe everyone your time. You owe yourself your life. Let me tell you about the old woman in the village I once met, living near the Himalayan foothills. She lived alone, yet she was never lonely. Villagers would often stop by, asking for advice, tea, or simply her presence. She never rushed, she never ran. And I asked her once, "How do you decide who to give your time to?" She smiled and said, "If their presence costs me my joy, their absence is a gift." Those words echoed in me for years. She wasn't unkind. She was clear. And clarity is one of the highest forms of kindness, both to yourself and others. Segment 4. The Myth of Being. Nice. Let's confront something uncomfortable. We've been taught that to be spiritual is to be soft. To be kind is to be agreeable. To be loving is to be endlessly available. But there is a big difference between being nice and being true. Nice often wears the mask of fear. It avoids conflict. It betrays itself. It says, "I'll carry the burden so you don't have to feel discomfort." But true speaks with grace and boundaries. True says, "I can love you and still choose myself." True says, "I don't need to be liked. I need to be aligned." There is a sacred fire in truth. And if people leave you because you stopped performing, let them go. Let the leaves fall. You are not responsible for other people's inability to sit with your fullness. Reflection. Exercise. The mirror of truth. Let's slow down here. Get a journal or simply sit with your thoughts. Ask yourself, who am I still trying to please, and why? What would I do differently if I believed my time was holy? Where in my life am I performing instead of being? Don't judge the answers. Just listen. And now, a small practice. Repeat with me. I am no longer available for the things that drain me. I do not confuse sacrifice with love. I release the need to be understood by everyone. My time belongs to my soul. You are not here to be consumed. You are here to be witnessed, to be loved in your enoughness, not your exhaustion. Closing the day. A monk's reminder in the monastery, we would begin and end each day with a bow. Not to each other, but to awareness, because awareness is the beginning of all freedom. So as this segment closes, I bow to your awareness, to your courage, to your awakening. You are not just watching a video. You are returning to yourself. And that is sacred work. Here we'll dive deeper into how to protect your inner temple, build a life of intentional presence, and walk away from the patterns that no longer serve you, with compassion, not guilt. We'll talk about the power of silence, the art of letting go without bitterness, and the radical joy of being alone without being lonely. You won't want to miss it, so stay grounded, stay real, and most of all, stay with yourself. Welcome back, dear traveler. You've come so far, and I want to honor that. Many people start the journey, but not everyone stays when it gets quiet. Not everyone stays when the masks fall, when the applause fades, when the pleasing ends and the soul begins to whisper. But you are still here. And that tells me one thing. You're not chasing noise anymore. You're seeking truth. Let's continue. Segment 5. Protecting the inner temple. Inside you, there is a temple, not made of stone, not built by human hands, but shaped by every sacred moment of awareness, every breath of presence, every boundary honored, every truth spoken. Yet we leave this temple unguarded. We allow anyone to walk in, with their drama, their projections, their noise. Let me ask you, would you allow just anyone into a sacred temple if they were shouting, careless, disrespectful? Of course not. So why do we allow it in our minds, in our hearts? There is a difference between being open and being unguarded. The temple of your spirit deserves caretaking. And sometimes that caretaking means silence. Sometimes it means solitude. Sometimes it means choosing peace over participation. I remember a time in the monastery when I was asked to sit alone in silence for 10 days. No talking, no writing, no music, no distraction. At first, my thoughts were louder than ever. But somewhere, around day 5, I stopped fighting the noise and I started listening to the silence. And I heard the voice that had been buried under years of people-pleasing and pretending. It didn't shout. It whispered. It said, "You don't need to be louder to be heard. You just need to hear yourself first." Segment 6. The sacred art of letting go. Letting go is not about forgetting. It's about remembering who you are without the weight. Bawimbi. Think holding on makes us strong. But strength is in the release. Some of you are carrying old stories. Stories about who you had to be loved. Stories about being responsible for everyone's happiness. Stories that began in childhood but still echo through your adult relationships. It's time to ask, is this still true? Does this belief honor my growth? Am I keeping this story because it serves me, or simply because it's familiar? Letting go isn't cruel, it's kind. Imagine your heart as a room. If every corner is filled with old clutter, broken memories, and false identities, how can truth move in? Clean the room. Not all who walk with you today are meant to sit with you tomorrow, and that's okay. Some connections are seasonal. Some lessons are transitional. Honor them, release them. I let go of many things before I became a monk. My title, my ambition, my desire to be understood by everyone, and I gained something priceless, clarity. Not a life free of struggle, but a life free of self-abandonment. Guided practice, the cord-cutting breath. Let's do a simple practice together. Wherever you are, sit comfortably. Close your eyes if you're in a safe place. Bring your attention to your breath. Inhale deeply. Hold for a moment. Exhale slowly. Now imagine there's a cord connected to you, an energetic tie to someone or something, draining you. With each exhale, gently imagine releasing that tie. Say silently or aloud, I honor what was, I accept what is, I release what no longer serves. 3 more breaths. In, out, out, in, release. Feel that space you've just created. That's you, the real you. Not the version sculpted by fear or guilt, but the one that breathes freely. Closing message for Paige. 3, you don't need to fix yourself. You just need to return to yourself. This work you're doing? It's holy, it's brave, and it's not easy, but freedom rarely is. As we move into the final part of our journey together, I'll guide you through the practice of building a life around peace, not performance. You'll learn how to listen to your soul like a daily ritual, create sacred routines, and live your truth with quiet power. We're almost there. But for now, sit in this peace. Not the peace the world gives, but the one that rises from within. You are enough, and that enoughness is more than enough. Welcome back, dear one. We've walked a long, sacred path together, and now we've reached the final stretch. But remember this, endings are not exits, they're evolutions. So as we conclude this shared space, you are not leaving behind a teaching. You are stepping into a transformation. Segment 7. Designing a life around peace. Not performance. When you stop people-pleasing, when you reclaim your time, when you let go of roles that no longer fit. You're not just removing things. You're making room for something richer. So what comes next? Peace must become the architect of your decisions. Ask yourself this before every commitment, every response, every yes or no. Does this support the life I'm building? Or does this steal energy from it? Let peace be your compass, not pressure. Let clarity guide you, not confusion. Let truth speak louder than habit. Your daily practice, the ritual of sacred alignment to walk in your truth consistently. Build quiet rituals, not grand, not complicated, just real. Here is what I invite you to do each day. Morning silence, 5 minutes. Before you check your phone, sit in silence. Listen to your breath. Ask, what does my soul need today? Daily. Boundaries check-in. Before saying yes, pause. Ask, am I doing this from love or from fear? Evening gratitude. Plus release. Name 3 things you're grateful for, and 1 thing you release. Say, I did my best today. That is enough. These small habits build inner muscle, and over time, your life begins to reflect the stillness inside. You will no longer need to scream your worth. Your energy will speak for you. The shift that changes everything. Let me leave you with this. There comes a moment in every soul's journey where the noise becomes unbearable. The masks become too heavy, and the pretending becomes too painful. That moment isn't a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. It's the moment you choose you. You choose truth over tolerance, stillness over status, purpose over performance, peace over pleasing. And when you make that choice, the universe adjusts. Your circle changes. Your energy changes. Your life changes. Final blessing. Farewell, dear one. You've done something most people will never do. You stopped running. You faced yourself. You chose a new way. And I want you to know, that version of you who walks away from chaos, who values your own voice, who honors your own boundaries, that version is not selfish. That version is free. So go gently, protect your joy, keep your word to yourself. Make time your ally, not your enemy. And remember, you don't need the world to approve of you. You just need to be at peace with the mirror, and from my heart to yours, I see you. I bow to your courage. I walk with you in spirit. You are not alone. You never were. Be still and let your soul speak. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more teachings from the monk's path. Comment, I choose peace. If this message found you today, if this journey stirred something inside you, let it grow. Subscribe for weekly soul lessons and monk wisdom. Drop a comment below. What truth are you reclaiming today? Share this video with someone who's ready to stop pleasing and start living. You are the chosen one, and it looks good on you.